triggered a massive political storm. The Delhi Chief Minister is backing his Minister Satyendar Jain, calling the ED case against Jain farzi or fake. Today, Senior Union Minister Smriti Irani came out all guns blazing against Kejriwal and Satyendar Jain. Irani taunted the Delhi Chief Minister for protecting a man against whom there are very serious charges which have a financial trail.
The BJP and Aam Aadmi Party locking horns over Delhi Health Minister Satyendar Jain's arrest. The dramatic arrest coming as a big embarrassment for the Aam Aadmi Party, which is already under fire over Sidhu Moosewala's murder in Punjab. The BJP on Wednesday fielded its top leaders in a bid to corner Arvind Kejriwal's party, which is making a power bid in poll-bound Himachal Pradesh.
Satyendar Jain, indeed himself, is the real owner of the money laundered, amounting to 16 crores 39 lakhs. If Mr. Kejriwal does not have a copy of this court order, Karyakartas of the Bharatiya Janata Party are more than happy to send him a copy of the same.
मैं तो हमेशा से कह रहा हूँ कि वो सबसे कट्टर ईमानदार आदमी है, कट्टर देशभक्त आदमी है सत्येंद्र जैन। उनको गलत तरीके से फंसाया जा रहा है, पर कोई बात नहीं, ईडी जांच करना चाहती है कर ले, सारी जांच से साफ सुथरे निकल के आएंगे। और वो तो ऐसे व्यक्ति हैं जिस पे देश को गर्व होना चाहिए। उन्होंने देश को एक मोहल्ला क्लिनिक का मॉडल दिया।
The Aam Aadmi Party claims Satyendar Jain is being targeted because he's piloting the party's expansion in Himachal Pradesh, where the BJP is currently in power.
Does he knowingly now give patronage to those who have not only deceived the treasury, but also deceived people, to those Mr. Kejriwal says should be declared as Desh ke Gaddar? How long, Mr. Kejriwal, will this Desh ka Gaddar continue to receive your support?
भारतीय जनता पार्टी हिमाचल प्रदेश में चुनाव हार रही है और इसी के कारण से सत्येंद्र जैन की एक फर्जी बेबुनियाद मामले में गिरफ्तारी की गई है।
The Enforcement Directorate arrested Delhi Minister Satyendar Jain in a 2017 Hawala case on Monday. He has been remanded to Enforcement Directorate custody till the 9th of June. The Enforcement Directorate alleges Minister Jain received 4.81 crore rupees from shell companies. The money was allegedly transferred from a Kolkata-based firm via the Hawala route. Minister Jain allegedly used the funds to buy land and repay loans. The Aam Aadmi Party continues to deny the charges and backs its minister to the fullest. Meanwhile, the political firestorm continues to escalate. Bureau Report, India Today.
The BJP launching a scathing attack against Aam Aadmi Party's health minister in the capital, Satyendar Jain. Joining us now, the senior BJP minister who's leading the charge against the Aam Aadmi Party, Smriti Irani, now joins us on the Newstrack. Smriti ji, welcome. The Aam Aadmi Party seems to suggest it's because they believe they're making inroads in the state of Himachal Pradesh adjacent to Punjab, which is why the BJP has launched this massive political attack against them. Why do you believe it's time for Satyendar Jain to step down?
If Punjab, Rahul, if Punjab is a testimony to what the Aam Aadmi Party can do to a state, then definitely now the people of this country know that Aam Aadmi Party means anarchy. Aam Aadmi Party means support for anarchists. Aam Aadmi Party means lawlessness in a state. You and your channel have consistently and incessantly reported on the law and order situation in Punjab. So I think the greatest service any Aam Aadmi Party leader can currently do when it comes to what their governance methodology is not to invoke the name of the government of Punjab. Now that being said, when it comes to the state of Himachal, elections are yet to happen there. However, I like the false confidence that the Aam Aadmi Party is projecting with regards to protection of Satyendar Jain and the forthcoming assembly elections in Himachal. The question today was not assembly elections. The question today was not the political abilities of Satyendar Jain. The question is the fantastic financial capacities of Satyendar Jain to accumulate ill-gotten wealth. And the question is, why is Arvind Kejriwal silent? This question has come forth because it is Arvind Kejriwal who chose to speak out to the public at large and give Satyendar Jain a clean chit. And the reason why today I did a press conference is to ask pertinent questions. I hold with me a document of the court from the year 2019, which categorically now brings to light that Satyendar Jain had ill-gotten wealth from shell companies, that these companies went before the taxation systems in our country and asked to be taxed on this undisclosed income. This is not a position taken by the BJP. This is a position taken by companies that had a beneficial holding by Satyendar Jain himself. The court order also states very clearly that two people, Vaibhav Jain and Mr. Ankush Jain, are the people who were representing the ill-gotten wealth of Satyendar Jain. This is not a statement made by the BJP or any other political entity. This is on record a statement by the Delhi High Court. My disappointment is that the alacrity with which Mr. Kejriwal came out yesterday to give Mr. Jain a clean chit is missing today. After my questions that were posed publicly, I haven't heard a response to a single one of the questions posed.
The Aam Aadmi Party,
why this deafening silence on the questions that I've posed today?
The Aam Aadmi Party says in its defense that Satyendar Jain left these companies in the year 2013 at a time when he wasn't in a public position, and any transaction that these companies may have entered into after 2015-2016 cannot now be blamed on Satyendar Jain's shoulders, who by then was no longer present in these 5 companies. That's their defense.
So allow me to elaborate. I had talked about 4 companies. One of them, I'll just give you a small detail. Paryas Info Solutions had a financial transaction in the year 15-16. Mangalyatan Projects Private Limited had financial transactions in 15-16. Akinchin Developers Private Limited had financial transactions between 15-16. Today I spoke about 200 bighas of land which have been bought by Mr. Satyendar Jain's companies while he was in office, in areas which were surrounding unauthorized colonies. Post purchase of these 200 bighas of land, those colonies were regularized by the Aam Aadmi Party government. So for the Aam Aadmi Party to say that Mr. Jain has nothing to do with these entities while he was in service as minister in the Kejriwal government is nothing but a statement filled with untruths and positioned with malicious intent. This document of the Delhi High Court and the order is dated August 2019.
The AAP also says, ma'am, in its defense that these are charges that have been looked at.
So since Mr. Kejriwal, allow me to finish. I'm sorry, I'm intervening.
No problem.
These charges have not been looked at in its entirety. Mr. Kejriwal yesterday in defense of Mr. Satyendar Jain came out and said he has seen every piece of paper with regards to the allegations against Mr. Jain and is sufficiently appraised of the issue. My question to him today was, did he know of this court order? If yes, this is a position taken by Mr. Jain's company that he had ill-gotten gains of 16 crore 39 lakhs which were to be taxed. That was his position. Is Mr. Kejriwal of the opinion that a gentleman who serves with him at his pleasure in the Delhi government does so after publicly declaring to a court that yes, he has amassed ill-gotten wealth?
So the AAP says 2 things. One, the CBI has looked at these cases. They've given him a clean chit. No action was taken. Now, because he's been made Himachal in charge, therefore the ED is cracked into action. The second thing is that he wasn't in the companies at that time. When these transactions happened, they say he wasn't in the company.
Since you insist, I am but compelled to read from 2-3 areas of this particular discussion and this particular court proceedings. The fact is, and I'm reading from clause 30, page 16 of 18, that the petitioners have themselves enclosed a copy of the order dated 2017, passed in respect of the Bay Namidar, which inter alia notes that the cash that was routed through accommodation entries in the garb of share capital premium in fact belonged to Mr. Satyendar Jain, and it was at his direction that the entire transaction was orchestrated. What is pertinent to note is that what this entire line begins with, that the petitioners themselves have enclosed this copy, that it was Satyendar Jain who orchestrated this entire transaction. Why Arvind Kejriwal deems this as a clean chit or a certificate of character for Satyendar Jain baffles me.
Do you believe it's time for Satyendar Jain to step down? Some of these charges about illegal colonies being regularized are particularly problematic in light of the kind of moral halo on corruption that Kejriwal has sought to build. Do you think he's protecting Jain incorrectly and he should step down?
There is no moral halo. There is no moral halo. My apologies, Rahul. There is no moral halo. And I say this why? Because this is an order which was obviously available to Mr. Kejriwal. Since he claimed himself yesterday publicly that he has read through every piece of paper, what baffles me, like I said, is why did he not act on this? Secondly is, why is it that he is married to the falling star, and I'm using that as a political phrase, of Satyendar Jain? Like I said in the questionnaire that I put forth publicly, why is it that the Aam Aadmi Party regularized colonies in the vicinity of which, from this ill-gotten wealth, Satyendar Jain bought 200 bighas of land while Satyendar Jain was in office? This is not about a halo. This is about a very invigorating, corrupt practice that happened right under the nose of Mr. Kejriwal. Why Satyendar Jain or Kejriwal majboori is something that only Mr. Kejriwal can answer.
Are you suggesting that Satyendar Jain has done favors, possibly financial, for Kejriwal, which is why the Delhi Chief Minister is protecting him, ma'am?
Can an entire government come together and regularize a colony around which bighas of land have been bought by a particular minister from ill-gotten wealth? Again, why an entire government did this is an answer only Kejriwal can give.
Well, we'll leave it over there.
But it's interesting that they held a press conference after mine. But they never answered these two questions.
Smriti Irani ji, for joining us on the Newstrack. Thank you very much. The BJP, they're going all guns blazing with evidence from a court order suggesting that it's time for Satyendar Jain to step down and that he's being wrongly protected by Arvind Kejriwal. Given the serious nature of the charges against Satyendar Jain, why is Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party not acting against the Delhi minister? Joining us on this broadcast, senior AAP leader Sanjay Singh. Sanjay ji, I've been going through the charges that have been levelled by the Enforcement Directorate against the Delhi minister, and the charges seem very direct, and there is a financial linkage, the trail for which the ED says it has established. I'll take you through some of the charges, and then I want you to respond to these charges and why you aren't doing anything about it. One, that he's got disproportionate assets to the extent of 217% more than his known sources of income. That there are 5 companies which are shell companies which have been involved in laundering black money, where you've got entries from Kolkata based shell companies coming into the accounts. These accommodation entries are to the tune of 4.81 crore rupees according to the investigation done by the Enforcement Directorate. Direct linkages, serious charges against your minister. Why are you not acting against Satyendar Jain?
राहुल जी, आपने तारीख नहीं बताई कि जो मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग का मामला बता रहे हैं आप, वो किस ईयर का है? इन कंपनीज के ऊपर मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग का मामला कब से कब, किन सालों में, किन वर्षों में, किन तारीखों का है और कब का मामला वो चल रहा है?
ईडी के हिसाब से 2015-16 का है।
सत्येंद्र जैन जिन कंपनियों से इस्तीफा, हाँ, तो 2013 में उन कंपनियों से इस्तीफा दे चुके हैं। आपका न्यूज चैनल, उससे कोई कर्मचारी इस्तीफा देके चला जाए उसके बाद आपके न्यूज चैनल में कोई गड़बड़ी हो तो उसके लिए वो कर्मचारी थोड़ी जिम्मेदार होगा।
पर इतना सिंपल नहीं है ना, क्योंकि जो सत्येंद्र जैन की वाइफ है सर,
2013 में
सही है, लेकिन पूनम जैन है, पूनम जैन उनकी पत्नी है।
सुन तो लीजिए जी,
बताइए
जी। हाँ,
पूनम जैन उनकी पत्नी है, उनके बिजनेस एसोसिएट्स हैं अजीत प्रसाद जैन, वैभव जैन, सुनील जैन, आयुष जैन, और चूंकि वो उस वक्त पब्लिक सर्वेंट बन चुके थे, पॉलिटिक्स में थे, इसलिए चार्जेस और भी संगीन हो जाते हैं। इस तरह की शेल कंपनीज करोड़ों में पैसा इनकी कंपनी में कैसे ट्रांसफर कर रहे हैं? कंपनियों के भी नाम है हमारे पास, अकिंचन डेवलपर्स,
आप बताइए ना कैसे हो जाते हैं? आप बताइए ना 2015 से 17 तक जब उस कंपनी के डायरेक्टर के पद से वो इस्तीफा दे चुके हैं, 13 में तो कैसे वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो जाते हैं? बताइए मुझे, आप मुझे समझाइए। जिस कंपनी को 13 में छोड़ दिया सत्येंद्र जैन ने, 15 और 17 में अगर वहां पर कोई मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग का मामला आप जैसा बता रहे हैं, मेरे पास इसकी जानकारी नहीं, ये मामला कोर्ट में है, अगर आप इस बात को बता रहे हैं, और 7 बार इसी ईडी ने बुलाया सत्येंद्र जैन को, 7 बार में एक बार भी गिरफ्तारी की जरूरत महसूस नहीं हुई। जब वो हिमाचल के इंचार्ज बनाए जाते हैं, जब वहां सक्रियता बढ़ती है आम आदमी पार्टी की, केजरीवाल जी की बड़ी बड़ी रैलियां होती है, बड़े बड़े मजबूत लोग ज्वाइन करने लगते हैं, उस समय आप सत्येंद्र जैन को गिरफ्तार कर रहे हैं।
सर, स्वाति जैन,
आज चिंता सुशीला जैन, राहुल कंवल जैन, देश के मंत्री की,
जो कि को अक्यूज्ड हैं
राहुल कंवल की चिंता,
परिवार वाले हैं ना, उनके जानने वाले,
देश के चैनल्स की और मंत्रियों की क्या चिंता होनी चाहिए? क्या चिंता होनी चाहिए? इस समय कश्मीरी पंडितों की हत्याएं हो रही हैं, आतंकवादी घटनाएं हो रही हैं, उस पे केंद्रीय मंत्री का बयान नहीं आता, उस पे मोदी जी का बयान नहीं आता। इनको चिंता है सत्येंद्र जैन को कैसे बदनाम करना है, आम आदमी पार्टी को कैसे बदनाम करना है। अरे 8 साल पुराने मामले में आपको 7 बार आपने बुला लिया, इतनी लंबी जांच कर ली, कुछ नहीं मिला, एक एक मामले को आप 10-10 साल तक चलाए जा रहे हो। ऐसी संस्थाओं को बंद कर देना चाहिए। अपने आप को बड़ी मजबूत ईडी करती है, क्या किया आपने कार्रवाई?
नहीं, आप अगर मैं मान भी लूं कि सत्येंद्र जैन इस्तीफा दे चुके थे, सत्येंद्र जैन की फैमिली मेंबर्स,
उस कंपनी में मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग हो रही है,
उनके नॉन एसोसिएट्स, वो तो उन कंपनियों में अभी भी बड़े हुए हैं ना सर। देखिए, अजीत प्रसाद जैन, वैभव जैन, सुनील जैन, आयुष जैन, पूनम जैन, जो कि उनकी वाइफ है,
उनकी पत्नी, पूनम जैन उनकी वाइफ क्या है उस कंपनी में? क्या है?
का कहना है कि ये शेल कंपनीज वही चलाते थे।
आप बताइए ना पूनम जैन क्या है?
ये तो ईडी का कहना है कि इन शेल कंपनीज में इनके नॉन एसोसिएट्स और फैमिली मेंबर्स इन्वॉल्व हैं।
उनके कहने से कुछ नहीं होता ना आपके कहने से कुछ होगा राहुल जी, ना मेरे कहने से कुछ होगा। कोर्ट में हमारे वकील अपना पक्ष रखेंगे। मैंने आपने एक सवाल पूछा, मैंने उसका जवाब आपको दे दिया।
आपने अपनी तहकीकात की,
जिन कंपनियों से
क्या निकल के आया
सत्येंद्र,
आप मुझे बताइए।
15 और 17 में अगर
आपने जैसे एक तरीके से एक मिनिस्टर को, विजय सिंगला को निकाल दिया पंजाब में क्योंकि वो करप्शन कर रहे थे, इसमें आपने अपनी क्या तहकीकात की? क्या निकल के आया आपकी खुद की तहकीकात में?
करप्शन हुआ ही नहीं ना, यही तो बता रहे हैं आप। कल से लगातार बता तो रहे राहुल जी कि कोई करप्शन हुआ ही नहीं है। ये बेबुनियाद, निराधार और राजनीतिक कारणों से फंसाने का एक मामला है। ये कल से बात कह रहे हैं, आप पूछ रहे हैं, आपके सामने भी दोहरा दे रहे हैं।
सर, ये 200 बीघा की
जमीन
कराला में, निजामपुर में, बुधाम में खरीदी गई है,
और बाकी ये
5 शेल कंपनियां हैं।
कोर्ट में अपना पक्ष वकील रखेगा। जी माफ कीजिएगा
सर, 14 लोगों से ये जमीन ली गई 200 बीघा की, कराला में, निजामपुर में, बुधम में, नॉर्थ ईस्ट दिल्ली में, नॉर्थ दिल्ली में। आप यहाँ सक्रिय हैं पॉलिटिक्स में, शेल कंपनीज इन्वॉल्व हैं इसमें, जो ये ज़मीन खरीद रही हैं। 14 लोगों से आपने ज़मीन खरीदी। अगर आपकी वहाँ पे सरकार है, आप कह रहे हैं कि डायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व होने की ज़रूरत नहीं। अरे अगर आपके मंत्री हैं, आपकी सरकार है, आपकी ये शेल कंपनीज पैसे दे के ये ज़मीन खरीद, तो वो खुद में प्रॉब्लम है ना।
कंपनी हम 2013 में छोड़ चुके हैं, जिस कंपनी में हम है ही नहीं, उसके लिए आप हमें रिस्पॉन्सिबल ठहरा रहे हैं। और कौन से लोग ये कागज लेके आ रहे हैं? ये ईडी का दफ्तर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के दफ्तर से चल रहा है। मुझे तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। जो पार्टी, जिस पार्टी का राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष कैमरे पे रिश्वत लेते हुए पकड़ा जाता है, जो लोग 500 करोड़ का जहाज 1627 करोड़ में खरीदते हैं, जो लोग राम मंदिर के निर्माण में चंदा चोरी कर लेते हैं, वो नैतिकता का पाठ पढ़ा रहे हैं हमें। कहां से कागज मिल गया इनको ये सारा? और कोर्ट में हम अपना पक्ष रखेंगे। हम बार बार कह रहे हैं, आपने एक ऐसे आदमी को दोषी बना रखा है जिसका उस कंपनी से 2013 में नाता ही खत्म हो गया।
पर सर उन्हीं कोलकाता
और
उन्हीं
15 की घटना में उसको आरोपित कर रखा है। 5 साल से आपकी जांच चल रही है और मिला कुछ नहीं।
जिस कंपनी से आप कह रहे हैं कि नाता तोड़ा, उस कंपनी में
उसमें मिला कुछ नहीं।
शेल कंपनी से कोलकाता बेस्ड हवाला ऑपरेटर्स की 4.81 करोड़ रुपीस की एंट्रीज हैं, जो कि अकाउंटिंग एंट्रीज दिख रही हैं, और इस पैसे को इस्तेमाल किया गया दिल्ली में, जहां पे आपकी सरकार है, यहां पे जमीन देने के लिए।
राहुल कंवल जी तारीख बताइए कब की है?
जो जमीन खरीदी गई वो 2010 से 2014 तक।
कब की है? मैं पूछ रहा हूं ना आपके चैनल।
जो 200 बीघा जमीन खरीदी गई वो 2010 से 2014 तक।
2013 में वो उस कंपनी को छोड़ चुके हैं। तो ये सारे कागजात कोर्ट में आने दीजिए। पता नहीं आपके पास कौन से कागजात हैं, कौन सी जानकारियां हैं, और ईडी ये जानकारी आपको क्यों दे रहा है, कोर्ट को क्यों नहीं दे रहा है? और 5 साल से इन जानकारियों को जो आज उन्होंने आपको दी, इस पे कोई कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं की ईडी वालों ने अब तक? वो इंतजार कर रहे थे कि हिमाचल का चुनाव आएगा तब इन कागजों को लेकर हम कार्रवाई करेंगे।
सर हिमाचल का बीजेपी कह रही है, आप ऐसी बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोल रहे हैं। आपने गोवा में भी तो चुनाव लड़ा था, उत्तराखंड में भी तो चुनाव लड़ा था, लड़के क्या हो गया? आप इसको हिमाचल के चुनाव से क्यों जोड़ के देख रहे हैं?
हाँ बिल्कुल लड़ा था। वहां इंचार्ज नहीं थे सत्येंद्र जैन, वहां इंचार्ज नहीं थे सत्येंद्र जैन, वहां पे इंचार्ज नहीं थे, हिमाचल में थे। हिमाचल में बहुत सारे लोगों की उन्होंने ज्वाइनिंग कराई, पार्टी का काम मजबूती से वहां चल रहा था। और मैं तो आपको बता रहा हूं राहुल जी, ये कागज पढ़ने लगूंगा तो आपका पूरा कार्यक्रम बीत जाएगा। दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री पे सीबीआई का छापा मारा, क्या निकला? कुछ नहीं। उप मुख्यमंत्री मनीष सिसोदिया पे सीबीआई का छापा मारा, क्या निकला? कुछ नहीं। हमारे तमाम मंत्रियों पे ईडी सीबीआई का छापा हुआ, क्या निकला? कुछ नहीं। 34 विधायकों को पकड़ के फर्जी मामले लगा के जेल में डाल दिया, क्या निकला? कोर्ट से बरी हुए, पुलिस को लताड़ लगी कोर्ट से। 23 मुकदमे मेरे ऊपर लिखे राहुल कंवल जी। एक उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर राष्ट्रद्रोह लगाया आदित्यनाथ जी ने, 9 एफआईआर की एक दिन में। ये लोग बात करेंगे। सीबीआई का एक मामला इन्हीं सत्येंद्र जैन के ऊपर दर्ज हुआ था, और ऐसे उस वक्त भी टीवी चैनल्स पे खबर चलाया जा रहा था, उनके परिवार को अपमानित किया जा रहा था, और 5 साल के बाद सीबीआई ने सत्येंद्र जैन को उस केस में बरी कर दिया। ये कागज है और ये खबरें हैं, क्लोजर रिपोर्ट फाइल कर दी सीबीआई ने। तो इन संस्थाओं का मजाक बना रखा है आप लोगों ने कि 5-5 साल तक आप जांच करा रहे हैं और उसके बाद आपने कह दिया कि साहब कुछ नहीं निकला। ये बच्चों का खेल है। जैसे चाहेंगे वैसे सीबीआई को यूज करो, जैसे चाहोगे वैसे ईडी को यूज करो, जैसे चाहोगे वैसे दिल्ली पुलिस को यूज करो। तो ये तो ठीक बात नहीं है राहुल जी। मैं आपको एक आंकड़ा बता रहा हूं कि हमारे विधायकों पर 140 केस फाइल हुआ, 72 केस में उसमें एक्विटल हुआ है, और 39 केस अभी पेंडिंग है। एक में कन्विक्शन हुआ, बाकी केसेस में अभी या तो चार्जशीट फाइल नहीं हुआ या तो स्टे हो गया।
Okay.
ये डिटेल है हमारे पास।
So I don't want to play judge and jury. I want that this be decided.
एक पार्टी टारगेट करने पे ही तैयार बैठी है, तो उसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं?
In a court of law, because what I have over here are excerpts from the investigation carried out by the Enforcement Directorate, where the charges are very clear that associates, family members of Satyendar Jain are involved still in the companies where Sanjay Singh says he cut off his ties in 2013. Some of these entries have happened after 2013, but the members alleged to be involved in these companies are associates and family members of Satyendar Jain. So can he say he didn't know what was going on, or is he still culpable and responsible? That needs to be decided in a court of law. You've heard the Aam Aadmi Party's defense. They're linking it with the Himachal elections and with AAP's attempts to try and spread their presence in Himachal Pradesh. We'll let the court decide what ultimately happens. Sanjay Singh for joining us. Thank you very much. We're slipping into a quick break. When we come back, Punjabi singers come out and explain how gangsters were extorting money from them. This on the back of young Moosewala's killing. Details on the other side.
2022's biggest crime news break.
Popular Punjabi rap star and Congress leader Sidhu Moosewala was shot dead on Sunday.
Terrifying gangster hit on a superstar.
Visuals of the star vehicle is a witness to the dastardly attack.
India today relentlessly first at every step.
Sidhu Moosewala was targeted by these two dreaded gangsters.
With Moosewala's family, fans, friends and foes.
Who is this man and what is the gang that he has run?
Banduk, Bishnoi, Badla and Bhagwan. No angle untouched. India watching Musewala murder coverage. Only on India Today.
Did you know the Chinese military is developing a weapon capable of destroying Elon Musk's Starlink satellite? Well, yes, a team of Chinese researchers have reportedly published a study calling for anti-satellite capabilities that could disable Elon Musk's Starlink satellites. The tweet reads, and I quote, "A combination of soft and hard kill methods should be adopted to make some Starlink satellites lose their functions and destroy the constellation's operating system." The study is set to call for a combination of soft and hard kill methods that could be used to stop some Starlink satellites.
Musewala's death triggers a firestorm. Threats, extortions and attacks. Gangs decide shows, albums and promos. From Punjab to Canada to prison. Gangs of Punjab ruling the roost. More singers are now breaking their silence. Guns, Ghana and gangsters. The big focus on Newstrack.
You're on board the Newstrack. The investigation into the death of Sidhu Musewala has taken a stunning turn. 3 out of the 6 shooters have apparently been identified. Gangster Lawrence Bishnoi has said he had nothing to do with Musewala's killing. In fact, Lawrence now fears that he could be killed in a fake encounter.
There were 6 shooters who fired over 24 shots at singer Sidhu Musewala. 72 hours after his spine-chilling murder, the probe has taken a sensational new turn. 3 out of the 6 attackers have been identified. Manpreet Singh, a notorious drug dealer and gangster, has been in police custody for 5 days. Jailed gangsters are being questioned from Punjab to Delhi. At the center of the probe is this man, Lawrence Bishnoi, whose gang is said to be behind Musewala's murder. Bishnoi is currently lodged in Delhi's Tihar jail and being questioned by the Delhi Police Special Cell. Sources say he is not cooperating and has in fact distanced himself from the killing of Musewala. The police have also narrowed in on 2 cars that the shooters used to kill the Punjabi pop singer. It has now emerged that the killers did a recce in a Toyota Corolla before the actual killing. They then abandoned the vehicle and hijacked another car to escape.
सीसीटीवी फुटेज हमें मिल गई है, हमने सारे रास्ते हैं वहाँ से भी अलग अलग एरिया से अलग अलग टाइम्स के बीच हमने फुटेज निकाली है। तो काफ़ी सारी अहम लीड्स है जहाँ ये करोला कार है जिसने रेकी की है, क्या रूट लिया है, रास्ते में कहाँ रुकी है, कहाँ ओवरटेक किया है, काफ़ी मैनेज किया है, ये सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन है। उसके बाद आगे बोलेरो गाड़ी कहाँ अबैंडन मिली है, कहाँ पे ऑल्टो गाड़ी स्नैच हुई है, ये सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन हमारे पास टेक्निकल एविडेंसेस भी हमारे पास है और साथ में हमारे पास सीसीटीवी फुटेज भी है। शूटर्स अभी जो हमें तफ्तीश की भी 2 गाड़ियों में आए हैं, एक करोला कार में और एक बोलेरो कार में।
The Punjab police has now admitted that there was a threat to Musewala, but then why was the singing sensation security downgraded? One of many questions that continue to explode. With Arvind Kejriwal in Mansa, Punjab, Bureau Report, India Today.
Moosewala's death in a gang war has opened a Pandora's box in the Punjabi music industry. Singer after singer is now coming out and speaking about threats, extortion and attacks. Gangs of Punjab seem to decide everything when it comes to a Punjabi pop star, from shows to albums, even promotions. Our Punjab Bureau with this report on how gangsters rule the roost in the Punjab music industry.
From folk to pop and rap, a spectacular rise of a regional melody on the global stage. But hidden inside the glossy glamour of Punjab music is its dark underbelly. The real-life crime that has come to the fore with Sidhu Moosewala's killing. His violent killing has made a difference. The singing fraternity has broken its silence. Veterans of Punjab's entertainment industry are speaking up about how criminal gangs incubated around their music. On India Today, legend Gurdas Maan has admitted that malicious threats come as a price for popularity.
हम किसी प्रोग्राम से आ रहे थे, रात को चल पड़ते थे, तो रात को हम अपने घर के लिए वापस आ रहे थे गाड़ी में, तो गाड़ी रोकी आगे, तो मुझे नहीं पता था, गाड़ी रोकी तो लोगों ने कहा कौन है भाई, तो कहते जी गुरदास मान बैठे, कहते कहाँ पे है, मुझे मतलब उन लोगों ने, ओ भाई जी ऐसे रात को इतनी रात को मत चला करो यार, आपको पता कि क्या क्या हो रहा है, तो उसने फिर अपनी वो गन्स दिखाई, तो मैं ऐसा यार हमने तो कुछ ऐसा कभी सोचा ही नहीं है, मैं तो पहले ही अपने साथ अपने नाम के साथ मान मर जाना लिखता हूँ.
He sang in Bollywood films. His debut album sold 20 million copies worldwide. Daler Mehndi recalled how he became a target of gangster Abu Saleem more than 20 years ago.
मेरे साथ एक बार बहुत बड़ी थी 2000 में जब अबू सालिम ने हमारे ऊपर मेरे ऑफिस में हमला किया था और बोल के किया था कि इतने बजे हम आपके ऑफिस में आएंगे और गोलियां मारेंगे, तो मुझे विश्वास नहीं था कि ये अबू सालिम हैं. जब उन्होंने गोलियां चलाई फिर उनका फ़ोन आया कि हमारे आदमी ने आपके ऑफिस में गोलियां चलाई, अब आपको यकीन हो गया मैं अबू सालिम हूँ, तो मैंने कहा जी बिल्कुल यकीन हो गया. और थोड़ी देर में पुलिस आई, पुलिस ने मुझे बताया कि ये अबू सालिम के लोग थे और फिर 1 साल मेरे साथ 12 गनमैन रहे हैं, 7 दिल्ली पुलिस वाले, 4 पंजाब पुलिस वाले और फिर हरदम घर के अंदर 17 लोगों की टीम रहती थी राजस्थान पुलिस की. तो वो 1 साल वो जो गुजरा मेरा, और उसके बाद जब सिक्योरिटी वगैरह हट गई तो कोई टेंशन नहीं, कुछ नहीं.
Another superstar singer, Mika Singh, was candid when he asked about gang threats to fellow artists.
And this is 2022. This is what happening. I'm surprised. कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया, कोई डर नहीं रहा. Nobody scared. They can kill anyone. अगर सेलिब्रिटी को मार सकते हैं तो आम इंसान को कितनी प्रॉब्लम होती होगी. बट सबको पता है कि ऐसे लोग गैंगस्टर हैं जो पैसा मांगते हैं, हर हफ्ते उनको पैसा जाता है, सिंगल बेचारे डर डर के दे रहे हैं. ऐसे बहुत बड़ी आम बात होगी पंजाब में. बट इसलिए हो रही क्योंकि वो गैंगस्टर जाते हैं और बाहर आ जाते हैं. जब बाहर आते हैं वो फिर अपना कांड करके फिर अंदर चले जाते हैं. ऐसे लोगों को आप कड़ी से कड़ी सख्त सजा क्यों नहीं देते आप?
A singer from neighbouring Haryana, Fazil Puria, has issued a call for singer solidarity against murderous gangs.
यही टाइम है स्टैंड लेने का, यही टाइम है सिद्धू भाई को जस्टिस दिलाने का। और ये सिद्धू भाई पे गोली नहीं, ये पूरी इंडस्ट्री के आर्टिस्ट पे चली है, पूरी इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर गोली चली है। और अगर इसको रोकना है तो यही टाइम है, आगे आए, बोले इस बारे में, स्टैंड लें, स्ट्राइक करनी है, आंदोलन करना है, जो भी करना है। जिस तरीके से यूपी में क्राइम ख़त्म किया गया है, जिस तरीके से यूपी के अंदर गैंगस्टर्स के अंदर डर बढ़ा है कि भाई अगर अब हमने कोई क्राइम किया तो हमारे साथ गलत होगा, वो डर भी पंजाब के अंदर होना चाहिए। और मैं कहता हूँ हर स्टेट के अंदर होना चाहिए। पंजाब का मैं स्पेशली इसलिए नाम लूँ कि पंजाब में पिछले 2-3 महीने से देख रहे हैं कि बहुत ज़्यादा क्राइम बढ़ रहा है, बहुत ज़्यादा। तो वहाँ की सरकार को सख्त से सख्त कदम उठाने चाहिए और यूपी सरकार से सीखना चाहिए कि किस तरह के क्राइम रोका जाए।
Risks are real and threats are meant to be taken seriously.
In Sidhu Moosewala's murder investigation, the Punjab police is also looking at members of these notorious gangs who have direct link to Punjab's music industry. Sources say that last year Mohali police had cracked its whip against music companies that were being directly run by these gangsters. Even then, Sidhu Moosewala's murder has given sleepless nights to Punjab police because so far they have failed to decimate this gangster nexus that has left artists feeling threatened. With video journalist Pradeep Gupta, this is Shreya Chatterjee for India Today.
You know, the one critical question that emerges in several of these stories about killings, about crime, is the link to Tihar jail. Whether it was the Sukesh Chandrasekhar case or now Lawrence Bishnoi, who was housed inside Tihar, how is it that criminals, gangsters lodged inside India's most high prestige jail continue to run flourishing criminal syndicates outside? Take a look at some of the things that have gone wrong in Tihar jail of late, and then I'll go across to former Tihar jail in charge Kiran Bedi, who will be joining me on the Newstrack. But before that, look at this report.
India's biggest prison complex that lodges over 17,000 convicts. A maximum security jail that imprisons a number of high-profile criminals. CCTV camera surveillance, computerized prison management system, scanners, metal detectors, and quick reaction teams on deployment. Despite all this, the Tihar jail seems to have become a crime haven. The police suspect the murder of Sidhu Moosewala was hatched inside Tihar. The prime suspect, Lawrence Bishnoi, is currently lodged in jail number 8. Sources say the Lawrence Bishnoi gang allegedly executed the hit on the directions from Canada-based gangster Goldie Brar, who claimed responsibility for the assassination of the popular Punjabi musician and Congress neta. A suspect named Shahrukh was detained by the Delhi police a few days ago on charges of using a messaging app to connect from the jail with Goldie Brar. The Delhi Police Special Cell is questioning gangster Bishnoi and his associates Kala Jathedi and Kala Rana. Tihar is linked to many recent high-profile crimes. In March 2022, in a suspected case of gang war, Shekhar Rana, alias Sannata, an associate of jailed gangster Sunil, alias Tillu Tajpuria, was shot dead at Rohini Court. He was allegedly murdered by gang members of slain gangster Jitender Gogi. Police investigation revealed that the murder was conceived inside Tihar jail, allegedly by Rohit Moi, a former partner of deceased Gogi. In 2021, the National Investigation Agency, probing the bomb scare outside industrialist Mukesh Ambani's Mumbai house, had taken into possession 2 cell phones recovered from Tehseen Akhtar, the alleged chief of the Indian Mujahideen, a terror outfit. These incidents put a question mark on the effectiveness of jammers and electronic systems installed on jail premises. Instances point to alleged connivance of jail officials with the inmates. And how are convicts in possession of mobile phones? Tihar officials have also faced action. In May this year, the Delhi Police's Economic Offences Wing arrested Assistant Superintendent Prakash Chand for allegedly assisting imprisoned conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar in running his elaborate extortion ring. The Moosewala murder has once again put the spotlight on how the gangsters lodged in Tihar jail are freely running their crime empires. Bureau Report, India Today.
There is something seriously wrong with the manner in which Tihar jail is being run at this moment. It is India's most premier jail, right under the nose of state and central authorities, and yet whether it is Sukesh Chandrasekhar, whether it is Lawrence Bishnoi, or multiple other headlines coming out of Tihar jail, crooks and criminals lodged inside jail being able to run flourishing criminal empires. The one person who's run Tihar jail fixed it while she was in charge and hopefully can shed some insights into what seems to be going wrong is Dr. Kiran Bedi, the first woman police officer in the IPS, recipient of the Raman Magsaysay Award for her reforms at Tihar jail. So Dr. Bedi, welcome. When you look back at your erstwhile institution, which you tried to fix into shape, and you reflect on what could potentially be going wrong, when it emerges that Lawrence Bishnoi, who was lodged inside Tihar jail, had a role to play in the killing of this young singer Moosewala in Punjab, you know, what's going through your head? Where do you think Tihar is getting the script wrong?
I think they got wrong kind of officers at the critical level. I was not alone. I was with a very good DIG, Mr. Sarangi. I had very good 4 superintendents, Kishore, Devedi, Tarsem Kumar and Meena. 4, and Sunil Gupta, the law officer. I was not alone. I was 1 + 1 + 5. We were 7 of us who actually transformed the prison. I was not alone. I think the current man is alone. He doesn't have the right team. I had very good team. And who were they? They were direct officers. They were direct Danix officers at a senior level. Men of credibility. Each one of them had very good integrity. I had Sarangi, who retired as an IS officer. I had Kishore, Devedi, they all retired as IS officers. I had very good team. I had an excellent team. At the moment, I don't think the current DG has a team. And you know, most of his officers are recycling. They come and go. Why do they come and go? Why can't they be in a tenure? You've done once, go. Why should you want to come back again and again? And number 2, he doesn't have direct officers. Why should direct recruit officers of Danix join the services, be in the prisons? Why should those direct recruits not be there, who have a long career ahead? So I think he's got a wrong team. If you want to make the change, you've got to give him a better team, the current DGP. You have to give him a better team.
But technology also has evolved from the day when you were in charge. Now there are interceptors, you can see who's making telephone calls. It seems that phones are going in and out. It almost seems as if officials at Tihar are in cahoots with these gangsters and criminals, because it baffles me. With the use of basic technology, you can determine in which cell and ward a phone is being used, and you can swoop in and take that phone away if the officers and officials are indeed serious about doing their job.
Yeah, because if you have a bad human element, they can tinker with technology. No amount of technology can do the correction. It's the human technology which uses the mechanical technology, and they can abuse it, and they can snap it, they can tamper with it, they can do, and they're doing it. So I think I think the current new Lieutenant Governor must play a critical role in the reform of Tihar, because he is the man. He is in charge. Under the Act, it is he. And I believe the prison rules which were framed after the Act does not have his approval. They should have had his approval, and they should have been notified after his approval. My inside information tells me that the Prisons Act of 2000, which was made, and government means the Lieutenant Governor, which means he can play the role, he can make the appointments correct, and he must look at the rules which have been framed. Are they right? I think we need to look at the way officers are being appointed and the way the rules have now been notified. I think the new Lieutenant Governor is started brilliantly. I think he can turn it around. He is the one who can change it around. If he doesn't, then nobody else can.
Stepping outside Tihar for a moment, you come from the state of Punjab, you studied in universities there. What do you make of the manner in which there have been multiple high-profile violent killings across Punjab since the Aam Aadmi Party came to power? Are these, according to you, isolated instances, which is what the central agencies seem to think, or do you think it could be part of a larger diabolical plot to ensure that this border state is up in flames again?
Look, we need a daily homework on crime prevention. We need a daily focus on tracking criminals on record. We need a daily intensive team effort on a regular basis and use whatever law we have to prevent these people from being free. And those on bail have to be kept on check. Maybe come and record every third day in a police station. Come and record you. I think the courts can order. Why should we let them be free when we know he's a gangster? So first of all, gangsters on bail cannot be set free like that. They have to become conditional bails where they come and report attendance with sureties. And if they jump, sureties must pay the price for it. So thereafter, there's a hunt. There should be lookout notices. Some of them are absconders, some of them are proclaimed offenders. So I think the crime prevention has taken a back seat, and reactive police, every time you have a new STF, why don't you have an STF on crime prevention? Why don't we have proper STFs, with criminal intelligence, searching and hunting, where are these people?
No, so policing is one part of it, but there's a new state government in charge. Also a government very different from the Akali Congress governments that preceded them. Do you think this is also taking the new chief minister time to come to grips? Because, for example, a lot of the decisions about reducing security of people like Musawala was taken at a political level, the consequences of which are then having to be answered by the state police. But actually it was a political decision. Do you think the inexperience of Bhagwant Mann is also coming through in some of these decisions, ma'am?
I think that making it public, that who so-and-so is making security is reduced, making it public was disastrous. You don't do that. And number two, the DGP has an independent role. He could have stepped in and said, no, I cannot allow it. So whoever did it, who did not stop it, and who decided to do it squarely is responsible. Who tweeted it, who made it public, and who let it happen. Both are equally responsible. One, for initiating, secondly, for not preventing. I think they both are responsible.
There's a big debate at this moment, cutting across generations, over whether some of the songs and the manner in which they're picturized, guns, gangsters, bullets, whether this is part of the reason why youngsters in Punjab are taking to the gun culture. The youngsters say you can't blame the song if somebody picked up a gun. The older generation of stars seem to think that these younger stars are in conscious, subconscious ways encouraging the younger generation by glorifying this gun culture. Where do you come out on this?
I think so. I think we are totally polluting our culture. Whereas Punjab is full of very good, very, very good music. I think if we have made it making it very, very, I think polluting and poisonous and violent. And I think we are very loud on it, very loud on it. Whereas there was rhythm in the Punjab music. There was a bhangra, there is a drum, but there is a rhythm in that, but not the kind of boisterous violence in it. I think we need to. Well, the point is, if people are relishing it and dancing to it, you can't help it. But the question is, you have to help it. I think the people had to rethink what are they enjoying more. Do they want peace, or do they want to be killed at gunshots like these? And it can be anybody's turn. It can be anybody's turn. Anybody getting the limelight and has the capacity to pay can be on ransom.
No, but I was listening to some of Musewala's music last night. It is bloody, it's gory, there's aggression, there's frustration in his lyrics, but a lot of the youngsters seem to like him. He's off the charts, whether it's in Canada, the UK or Punjab. Young people seem to be lapping up his music.
Maybe you're making new taste buds come, and now they're settled.
So you've raised some important points in terms of how some of this music could potentially push youngsters in that direction. You've also spoken of how Tihar Jail should be reformed, get the right officers, use the right technology, ensure that they have the right intent, because without that, criminals and gangsters will find some loophole they can exploit. Dr. Kiran Bedi for joining us on the Newstrack. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul.
This is where we wrap up the Newstrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here in the Newstrack team, goodbye, good night.
The WHO says that tobacco not only destroys human health, it also destroys the environment. It has also called for steps to make the tobacco industry pay for the damage they are causing. Every single year, the tobacco industry damages more than 8 million lives, 600 million trees, 2 lakh hectares of land, 22 billion tons of water, and 84 billion tons of CO2. Majority of the tobacco is grown in middle-income and low-income countries, where water and farmland are desperately needed. Instead of using this land to cultivate food, it is being used to cultivate tobacco. The WHO report, Tobacco Poisoning Our Planet, highlights that the industry's carbon footprint from production, processing and transporting tobacco is equivalent to 1/5 of the CO2 produced by the commercial airline industry each year, further contributing to global warming. Tobacco products are actually the most littered on earth. It contains over 7,000 toxic chemicals. These chemicals leach into our environment when discarded irresponsibly. Roughly 4.5 trillion cigarette filters pollute our oceans, rivers, city sidewalks, parks, soil and beaches every year. Essentially, they build up to the plastic pollution that we're seeing from
The only solution is relocation, say Hindus in Kashmir. The opposition targets the Narendra Modi government. Is this then the failure of the muscular policy post-abrogation of Article 370? Join me, Gaurav Sawant, as I get you the latest on protests in Jammu and Kashmir against targeted killings. On India First at 10 p.m. tonight, only on India Today.
Do the rising petrol prices and inflation scare you? How much do you earn in a month? Well, the World Inequality Report will knock your socks out. And why? Because it says India stands out as a poor and unequal country with an affluent elite population. 15% of Indians earn less than Rs 5,000 every month, while 22% of the national income goes to the 1% rich community. The report flags a drop in global income during 2020, with about half the dip in rich countries and half in low income and emerging countries. Are we living in the prime of inequality? In 2019 and 20, among different employment categories, the highest percentage was of self-employed workers, which was 45.78%, followed by regular salaried workers 33.5% and casual workers 20.71%. Self-employed workers also belong to the lowest income categories. The report pegged the country's unemployment rate at 4.8% for 2019 and 20, and the worker population ratio at 46.8%. Let's not forget that this was the same time when the pandemic had hit the world. Clearly, the daily wage earners had no source of income during the lockdown period. Now, to address the wealthy population, In India, the wealthiest households are in urban areas, with as much as 74% of the urban population in the two highest wealth quintiles, as opposed to more than half of the rural population, which is 54%,